Hello, 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 hello. Good afternoon. Hope you are well. Oh my goodness. I am back in the US. Happy Juneteenth. Hope you all are doing something fun today. I am working, as you can see. And oh goodness, what am I going to talk about today? So I am back in the US. If you've been following my lives, about 2 weeks ago I was in Tobago, which is this itty bitty island all the way at the bottom of the Caribbean chain. So I was there visiting my mom. She happens to live there, and now I am back with Wassi Wednesday, and it's week 1 of 4 in Love Like a Carnivalista, and I'm talking about, is self-love selfish? This is something that, oh my goodness, and I'll get into all of the details, but this is a topic that is definitely near and dear to my heart, so I'm just going to apologize in advance. First of all, I'm going to say, listen, I'm going to get a little indignant. I feel very, very strongly about this, especially for us as Black women, so I'm really excited to talk to you all about that today. This series will be a two-part series. So today I'll talk about why self-love is important. And it will definitely get personal, and I will mention one of the self-love myths. I'm going to talk to you about 3 of them in total, but today I'm going to talk about 1, and then next week I will give you 2 more. Anyway, I've been doing all of this talking. In case you do not know who I am Isha, Carnivalista and Chief of the Carnivalista Lifestyle. And please tell me hi in the comments. Let me know what you're doing today on Juneteenth. Definitely. Tell me hello, what you're doing. And if you catch this after the fact, which most of you do, just do me a favor and say #replay in there for me. And also comment if I'm talking about these concepts about self-love and just about self-love in general and you agree, just type yes in the chat, okay? I just want to make sure that you all are with me. So why did I decide to talk about this? As part of Love Like Carnivalista, we're going to be having 4 lives on that. I am really just generally tired of the messages that we as women are sent consciously, subconsciously about loving ourselves, and the messages that were sent about putting everyone else before us. And if you are as tired as I am about being at the bottom of your own list, definitely type tired in the chat, all right? And as I said, this is going to be a 2-part series, and that's really the reason that I wanted to do this. I'm just tired of all of the messages. I just want to cut through all the crap, really, and hopefully encourage you to show yourself some love and let you know that there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, all right? So this is the personal part, and this is a true thing, right? So I am a thriver of childhood sexual and emotional abuse. And as a result of that, I really didn't love myself. I didn't love my body. I felt very self-conscious about my body. I indulged and put myself in relationships that were abusive as well. I was in a lot of abusive situations, and later on to that, also had very emotionally abusive relationships. Like I hung around with very, very negative people who just were not excited about life, were not excited about doing good things and doing positive things or even saying positive things. Like there's a lot of negativity very, very early on in my life. And I think part of that is because I did go through childhood sexual and emotional abuse. I realized all of that trajectory as I got older, and I also realized that I was feeling this way, or I was encouraging negative behaviors and indulging in negative behaviors in my life because of the messages that were fed as women. And they're very, very different from men. And as I said before, I'm really, really tired of it. Messages about being at the bottom of your list, about being okay with the status quo, about not wanting a little bit is okay, but not wanting too much, not making yourself small, not shining your light. Those are messages that we are fed as women from a very, very, very young age, even as children. Perhaps you're like me, you were called bossy, and that was a bad thing as a girl. You were taught that you were too loud, or you used your voice in inappropriate ways. Even when you were voicing things about your own body and about your own environment and about things that you didn't like. Those are messages that were fed very, 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 very young as women and as girls. And the implications of not loving yourself, they are so far-reaching. Not even to talk about, first at the top of the list is your self-esteem. And that impacts how you move in the world, or how you don't move in the world, how you shrink in the world, right? It impacts your self-esteem. It impacts your income levels. Yes, it does. Because if you do not have the self-esteem to think that you are worth more and you deserve to be paid more, then that is monumental, right? And that is one of the implications of not loving yourself. You accept all kinds of ridiculous abuse and neglect from those around you. You have a clear lack of boundaries when you do not love yourself. High stress levels. I mean, I can go on and on and on about this, right? And the implications of not loving yourself and how that manifests in your everyday life, because it does. No matter what people tell you, it really does. But in any case, I'm getting ahead of myself and getting deep, deep, deep into this discussion. And again, if you're watching, definitely, Facebook is telling me I need to close some applications. I don't even have anything open. Listen, Facebook, what's going on? All right. Let me close one more thing here, and let's see if that helps. I am getting ahead of myself here. Let me get into some definitions so we are all on the same page. So the first definition is of self-love versus selfishness. So that's really how it started out here. Is self-love selfish? Well, let's talk about some official definitions and squash that piece once and for all. So the definition of self-love is nurturing one's own well-being and happiness. Okay? That's the first definition. Second definition is selfishness, and that is prioritizing one's own needs at the expense of others. See how different the two are? But again, societal messages have been blending the two, right? And probably making you feel guilty for showing yourself some love, or feel bad about showing yourself some love as a woman. And translating that into selfishness. For some reason, men don't get that, that association doesn't happen for men, or it's not told to men. But to women, it's all over the place, right? That self-love and selfishness come hand in hand. And as a woman, shame on you for showing yourself some love and prioritizing and nurturing your own well-being and happiness, right? So those are the two definitions, and that's what we're working with today. Now that we've talked about the definitions, let's talk about self-love myth number 1 that I'm going to talk about in this video. As I said, there's 2 more self-love myths, and those are going to be in the next live next week. The myth is self-love means neglecting others. Now this one really gets me going. Because as I said, we are taught, and I don't care what anyone says, as soon as we think of ourselves as women, we're neglecting everybody else, and the world is going to end, and everything is going to go wrong, right? And that is simply not true. Now, these messages come from many different things, right? It comes from social media, it may come from your family members, it may come from friends, it may come from your workplace, right? But at the big fault here, the biggest piece of the puzzle that kind of oversees all of this is patriarchy, which really states that everything that we do as women must be male-centered, and it must not be female-centered, right? But I'm not going to kill you with theory, because I do feel very, very passionate about women being at the center of their own stories and at the center of their own lives. But I'm not going to kill you with theory today, all right? Let's bring it down to real thing, all right? Real talk. Because I definitely don't want to go into theory too much. I can definitely go way down a rabbit hole on that, get up on the soapbox and everything, but I'm not going to do that today, all right? But we're going to bring it down to real brass tacks. So let's say, have you ever had a conversation in your life where you decided that you wanted to do something because you enjoyed doing it, and you thought it would be fun, and you really wanted to do it by yourself and on your own. And whoever you were sharing this whim with or this desire with, they said, well, what am I supposed to do? Or what about me? Or can I come along with you? And have you ever felt bad because you have told that person no, I really want to do it by myself because it's for my own self-love? Or did you just go along with the person and be like, yeah, sure, you can join me, and put yourself on the back burner or move your desire to the side? If you have, there is nothing to feel bad about, because all of us as women have been there, all right? It could have been your partner. It could have been a friend. It could have been a family member that you have had this hypothetical conversation with. And they somehow have made you feel bad that you wanted to do this one thing just by yourself and on your own, and carve out a little bit of self-love for you, attention for you, joy for you, fun just for you. And guiltiness comes up, right? I hear so much from, women who I've talked to over the years, who I've mentored over the years, about this guilt. That guilt comes from patriarchy. That's exactly where it comes from, right? Because we are taught to feel guilty when we put ourselves first, when we show ourselves some love, when we toot our own horn, when we shine our light. We are taught, and that can be unlearned, right? It can be absolutely unlearned. So that is a hypothetical situation, not so hypothetical. But here's the truth, and I do want you to say this. Loving yourself does not mean you are neglecting others. Showing yourself some joy, showing yourself some peace, giving yourself some quiet time, some space, does not mean you are neglecting others. And this particular case, it really is insidious and ridiculous, because this is a grown adult that you are hypothetically having this conversation with, who is trying to make you feel bad about having some time for yourself and having something for yourself. So really, it is just ridiculous. It's insidious because it happens so quickly. It comes as second nature to so many of us. Even I occasionally feel a twinge of guilt for, giving myself something or doing something for myself. And the unlearning takes a long time, but it can be done, so you can show yourself some real love. And if you really see how ridiculous and insidious this can be, definitely leave me a comment and say yes. All right, so let us move on to a more specific example. I gave you a hypothetical. Let's go into a real more specific example. So I practice yoga. I try to do it daily, but it doesn't really happen that way. But it really is, for me, it is a coping mechanism, because moving my body and reminding myself to breathe and just being in quiet is really, really, really a very key component of my own self-care and self-love. And it happened that my son did some yoga, something at his school. And he was like, Mommy, I know you do yoga. Can we do yoga together when next you do yoga? And I said, well, no, because Mommy does it very, very early in the morning, and you are usually sleeping. And that is for Mommy. That is Mommy's thing, right? I said, maybe if Mommy is doing something in the middle of the day, a yoga in the middle of the day, you can join me then. But outside of that, that is my time. That's Mommy's time. Do you understand? And he said, yes. He said, yes, I understand, which is fine. And I think as long as you explain to those who you love in your life about you having your own self-love and your own self-care, it works out just fine. Because in that specific example, I was actually nurturing my own well-being and my happiness, because I know how key yoga is to me. And I know that doing it with my son is not going to be as peaceful, and it's not going to restore me in the way that I need it to restore me. Now, other times are fine, but is it selfish? Absolutely not, because it's not at his expense. There's nothing that's going to happen to him tomorrow if he doesn't do yoga with me. He will be just fine. So that's the other example that I wanted to give to you today, a real life, real true talk example, all right? And another part of the reality is self-love. When you practice self-love, it allows you for better support and for care of others. As long as you have others that you are caring for in your life, showing yourself some self-love and self-care is better for everyone else around you, right? And I'm sure you have heard the saying, you cannot pour from an empty cup, right? Let's take it another step further and say that loving yourself allows you to give more abundance to love others. It opens everything up. You set healthier boundaries. you have better relationships, you don't stay in situations that are going to exploit or harm you when you have love for yourself. And it goes on and on and on. And the benefits of self-love, it reaches so many different areas of your life that it is something that is not only important, it is essential for us as Black women. Okay, so that's all I had to share today. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I definitely enjoyed talking about this topic. As I said, it's definitely one of the topics that is near and dear to my heart. And I'm going to put in here a link to the blog, because this is going to be published as a full blog. It will have the replay of this video as well, and there will be some extra elaboration on the blog. So I definitely encourage you to check out the comment in the chat and also in the description to this video. And what do you think? Is self-love selfish? Tell me. Leave me a comment and let's talk about it, right? Because I think that is such an important conversation that we as women are not having often enough. Is self-care selfish? And there are many out there who would say yes, self-love is selfish because you are doing something for yourself and you're not doing it for everybody else. But the fact of the matter is we have done more than enough for everybody else. As collective Black women, listen, okay, I'm not going to get started on I'm not going to get started on that. All right, that's all that I have today. Definitely, the blog will be up this afternoon. Please post your thoughts about this. Let's talk. Is self-love selfish? What do you think? All right, leave me a comment. And as always, hugging you up, and I will see you next week.